Matthew 22, Parable of the Wedding Feast. As was his custom, Jesus continued to teach the people by using allegories. He illustrated reality of heaven's kingdom realm by saying, there once was a king who arranged an extravagant wedding feast for his son. On the day the festivity was set to begin, he sent his servants to summon all the invited guests, but they chose not to come. So the king sent even more servants to inform the invited guests, saying, come, for the sumptuous feast is now ready. The oxen and fattened cattle have been killed, and everything is prepared. So come to the wedding feast, for my son and his bride. But the invited guests were not impressed. One was preoccupied with his business, another went off to the farm enterprise, and the rest seized the king's messengers, shamefully mistreated them, and even killed them. This infuriated the king. So he sent his soldier to execute those murderers and had their city burned to the ground. When the king sent his servants, the wedding feast was ready, and those who had been invited to attend did not deserve the honor. I want you to go into the streets, the alleyways, and invite anyone and everyone you find to come and enjoy the wedding feast in honor of my son. So the servants went out into the city streets, invited everyone to come to the wedding feast, the good, the bad alike, until the banquet hall was crammed with the people. Now, when the king entered the banquet hall, he looked with glee over all his guests. But then he noticed a guest who was not wearing the wedding robe provided for him. So he said, my friend, how is that you are here and you are not wearing your wedding garment? But the man was speechless. Then the king turned to the servants and said, tie him up, and threw him to the outer darkness, where there will be great sorrow with the weeping and grinding teeth. For everyone is invited to enter in, but few respond in excellency. The Pharisees tried to entrap Jesus. Then the Pharisees came together to make a plan to entrap Jesus with his own words. So they sent some of the disciples together with some staunch supporter Herod. They said to Jesus, teacher, we know that you are an honest man of integrity, and you teach us the truth of God's ways. We can clearly see that you are not one who speaks only to win the people's favor, because you speak the truth without regard to the consequences. So tell us, then, what you think. Is it proper for our Jews to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Jesus knew the malice that was hidden behind the cunning ploy, and said, why are you testing me? You impostors who think you have all the answers? Show me one of the Roman coins. So they brought him a silver coin used to pay the tax. Now, tell me, whose head is on this coin, and whose inscription is stamped on it? Caesar's, they replied. Jesus said, precisely, for the coin bears the image of the Emperor Caesar. Well then, you should pay the emperor what is due to the emperor. But because you bear the image of God, give back to God all that belongs to him. The impostors were baffled in the presence of all the people, when they realized once again that they were unable to trap Jesus went away stunned. Marriage and the resurrection. Some of the Sadducees, religious groups that denied there was a resurrection of the dead, came to ask Jesus this question: Teacher, the law also teaches that if a man dies before he has a children, his brother shouldn't marry the widow and raise up children for his own brother's family line. Now, there was a family with 7 brothers. The oldest got married, but soon died, leaving his widow. For his brother's second brother married, also died. The third also. This was repeated down to the 7th brother, when finally the woman also died. So here's our dilemma. Which of the 7 brothers will be the woman's husband when she is resurrected from the dead, since they all were once married to her? Jesus answered them, You are deluded, because your hearts are not filled with the revelations of Scriptures or the power of God. For after the resurrection, many women will not marry, just like the angels of heaven don't marry. Haven't you read what God said? I'm the living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When the crowds heard this, they were dazed and astonished over his teaching. The greatest commandment. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they called a meeting to discuss how to trap Jesus. And one of them, a religious scholar, posed this question to test him. Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? Jesus answered him, Love the Lord your God with every passion in your heart, with all the energy of your being, with every thought that was in you. This is a great, supreme commandment, and the second is like it in importance. You must love your friend in the same way you love yourself. Contained within this commandment to love, you'll find all the meaning of the law and the prophets. Jesus, Son of David, Lord of David. While all the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus took the opportunity to pose a question of his own. What do you think about the anointed one? Whose son is he? The son of David, they replied. Then Jesus said to them, How is it that David, inspired by the Holy Spirit, would call his son the Lord? For did not he say, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit beside me in the place of authority, until I subdue all your enemies under your feet? So how could Jesus call his own son the Lord? No one could come up with an answer. And from that day on, none of the Pharisees had the courage to question Jesus any longer.